So Aaron Jeskey, different title now, I guess, Principal Cloud Architect with PTP. We are a Norwood, Massachusetts-based AWS consulting partner focusing in life sciences space. We have our AWS Life Sciences competency, and that's really just Amazon's way to validate that we understand what the biotech space needs and how to appropriately implement that in AWS. So I'm a solutions architect at the professional level as well with AWS. How many folks here, and this is the awkward part where I ask for audience participation, so I'll hopefully get a little bit of glazed over look from some folks. How many people here have gone through an FDA audit previously? Great, thank you. And GCP, everybody's getting ready for some kind of clinical side of things. And do you have machine learning workloads as well? Talk about a little bit today, an event that we went through with one of our customers when they were getting ready for their GCP audit, and an event that we like to call the sticky note crisis. This was really well prompted for a GPT, but I liked it so much I had two of them, so whichever one prints are available in the hall afterwards. So the sticky note crisis was a time that an auditor was getting a tour of a wet lab, and they hadn't even begun to do anything with an actual audit yet. And sure enough, there's a sticky note sitting on a lab instrument with a shared password, and that was a diagnostics instrument. So pretty much everything for data integrity was immediately invalidated for that auditor. That customer was not a customer at the time, so we were there to help them afterwards. But we'll talk a little bit about some of the tools that we use in the AWS ecosystem to help them get through that audit eventually. This is kind of their workflow. This is Amazon's reference architecture for an MLOps workflow. Each one of those circles is a different area that would be considered under scrutiny for your IQ, OQ, PQ documentation. We don't really ever take care of PQ, but so we had to help them out with solving each one of those areas. Data assets, application access, intellectual property, all were in scope for having to completely revalidate. The customer was an on-premise customer at that point in time, and they were looking to decide on, were they going to keep with going on-premise, or were they going to move over to a cloud provider? We are obviously big advocates for the Amazon ecosystem, even over other great providers like Azure and GCP. They have a quality product, but Amazon has really differentiated themselves in the life sciences sector, not just because they're out there giving a whole lot of great credits out, which happy to talk to anybody that needs some funding. The Accelerate program is really advantageous to get some workloads out there. But they've also gone and created several products that are specific to the HCLS space. They have Health Scribe, obviously helping with transcription. They also have Health Lake, which is a great product that helps you with your data lake and de-identifying different aspects of your data store, so you can keep it you can use your data in a preclinical standpoint as well. And the two that we'll get into a little bit more, one that we're going to get into a little more today is the Landing Zone Accelerator. But you also actually heard a little bit of just a moment ago, Health Omics is Sakara as a service, really. It's Nextflow as a service. So we're a proud launch partner of that product a couple of years ago. But we're going to focus today on Landing Zone and the tools there that can help you with your ML workloads. So this is supposed to show a slide that has about AWS Config. So Config is a series, an amalgamation of Amazon native tools that allow you to readily and easily deploy a security profile across all of your accounts. So if anybody that has operated in the AWS world, you'll find that you end up having more than just one account. You end up having to have multiple accounts, multi-account structure. And sometimes you'll have accounts that are in the preclinical space, or you'll have things that are in the clinical space. What Config allows you to do is to easily deploy a secure profile for whichever environment. If you can see that there's 4 really great conformance packs that come out of the gate for the with Config. One of them is their FDA Title 21, CFR Part 11. It is a conformance pack that you can lay down on your environment and immediately know that you're not going to pass the audit because you have that deployed. However, it's going to configure your environment so that it can eventually meet that scrutiny of an audit. There's also a specific for Annex 11. There's a great HIPAA security conformance pack, and NIST 853 Part Rev 5, just a great policy to lay out on your ecosystem. These are all things that your scientists just don't have to think about. They can easily apply these onto their entire environment without having to go figure out, how do I make sure that my data at rest is being encrypted, so that when my auditor asks me that, I know what's happening. They will be able to demonstrate that those controls are being met by using Config. So there are some other great parts of when you use the landing zone and for healthcare accelerator, something as simple as artifact, and I can almost guarantee that anybody that's been developing an ML model is not trying to think of, has my compute platform and the purchasing of that equipment been done appropriately? Are we sourcing our infrastructure appropriately? Are we actually going off and meeting those more on paper compliance side of things? AWS Artifact is just a series of documentation that allows you to easily hand off to your auditor a statement that, yes, you have gone through the appropriate vendor selection for the hardware that you're purchasing or that you're running on, or if you're a publicly traded company, being able to easily pass your SOC audit. But the one that I think is the most relevant to the discussion today is the model registry. And this that customer with the sticky note crisis, this really came up as something that really saved their hide on having to, when they're rolling out a model and understanding what model is actually being used by their production side of things. They were able to go through with Git repositories and standard development practice. They were able to demonstrate that they had good source control of the development of the model, but they weren't able to readily show the auditors that they were using the appropriate model at the right time and be able to correlate that model with the data set that's being used against. What the SageMaker Model Registry allows you to do is operationalize that process so that you can have, if you have like a latest release, you can operate on the latest release, and you know exactly where your iterations are. Track your iterations, be able to prove your parameters that are applying to that model, and always understand exactly what it is that you're operating against. And the SageMaker Model Registry is really what enabled them to do that. This is something that is very difficult to do if you were just running this on your own infrastructure. You're having to run multiple iterations or be able to easily stand up those multiple iterations. This Model Registry just pulls that back for you and allows you to have a much more simplified, refer to your model as revision and know that it's going to deploy for you. You don't have to have that additional infrastructure stood up for you. So you end up collecting a whole lot of information that is out there with these tools, with our artifact, being able to demonstrate that your infrastructure is being built on with the appropriate controls. You have AWS Config out there. Collecting all that information and enforcing the compliance of those 4 different security packs. And you have a whole bunch of logs about what is being used through that SageMaker registry. This can be a very confusing set of logs that you have to end up sorting through. So Amazon has a solution to that, which is Security Hub, which is what takes all the logs and all the different security configurations that you have and centralizes it into one place. Again, if you have that multi-account structure, you're always looking to find a way to narrow your view and get it under one pane of glass. The Security Hub is a great tool that can help you do that. So just some things to think about as you're looking to secure your models. It's not always just about making sure that you have that you're worried about your source code. It's also about your operational aspects of when you're out there running a model. How are you going to track which one's in production, and how are you going to enforce that nobody can go in and use a shared password to go in and make an adjustment into your environment? How are you going to force that compliance? That's what tools like Config and Security Hub will help you do.